Welcome back to Mompreneurs, the real deal, where we are getting real and raw today with ourselves. First up is Jen. So we talked about, basically her start in life, her career change and why it happened. But I would love to dive a little deeper and find out what made you want to become a coach. I know you have so many different businesses now, but I think, coaching is near and dear to your heart. And I'd love to hear why that was your next move.
So I'm gonna tell you that I believe I've always been a coach. I think it's a part of my genetic makeup. And when you're a PT and you're in sports performance, I was not in rehab the entire time. Like the last 4 years was solidly in coaching to human performance. And so I already was kind of doing it in that capacity. But when I got that bombshell on vacation and had to make a shift, I hired a coach to help me set boundaries because I didn't set boundaries. And I know we've talked about this on the show. I mean, I didn't set boundaries and I didn't allow myself to fill my own cup. And I said yes to everyone else. I was that, yes, I will do this. I can do everything and be everything to all the people. And I know every mompreneur listening to this goes, yes, yes, preach, sister, because we all are there and have been there. But it took a coach to help me to understand even what I wanted anymore because I didn't know. I was living for my spouse. I was living for my daughter. I was living for the patients that I was treating and for the athletes that I was coaching. And it took that coach to step back and help me rediscover who I am. And we've talked about this on the show before, but the reality is there's identity shift and we lose who we are when we become parents. We can be the most amazing boundary-setting human being, but when we have that new life that we are responsible for, we shift all our focus and sometimes forget a little bit about what brings us joy that's not associated with any other human being. And so that coach changed my life. And as a result, I'm like, okay, great. Well, my path forward is I'm going to become a master transformational coach. I did all the certifications and I did a master program in holistic approach and all kinds of things. But what really, really drove the life coaching piece was one of my first athletes who went into the NFL called me, and I thought he was injured. I'm like, wait, I thought you retired. Did you get injured? I'm not a PT anymore. I let that license go. And he's like, no, I called you because of everybody in my life. I wouldn't have gone and become a collegiate athlete if it wasn't for you. I would have, he had a life story and he was in and out of rehab as a high schooler and in college. He was in performance with me. He goes, you were the person who I could bounce these ideas off and I don't know what to do with my life now. And so we had a 2-hour conversation. I helped him to figure out what he wanted to do. And because I had been through coaching, I had the stuff. And I was like, you know what? I think this is what I am going to do moving forward. And I helped him to start his business, which happens to be a nonprofit for at-risk youth and utilizing athletics and leadership and that kind of thing. And so I think that's what really solidified who I am and my direction. And then the business coaching, I fought against. I truly fought against it until my coach was like, why are you not doing this? You're so good at it. It's a gift. And I was always investing and doing things on the side. Mm-hmm. But that's when the whole marriage between business and life and become the CEO of your business and life kind of took root.
Sure. And I think what you were getting at too, which makes sense, is that when you were a PT, you were already teaching people, right? So you were coaching. And then you became a mom, or I guess technically you became a mom first. But I guess, when you're teaching your children things, you're coaching them on life too, right? So it was basically a natural transition for you. It wasn't a big jump. You just needed to step back and figure it out and have someone else to help you.
Yeah, and that's what coaching is all about. Honestly, I truly believe that every human being needs a coach because we can't see ourselves objectively. I mean, if I had had a coach before that whole incident with my husband, I wouldn't be in chronic pain and I would have been filling my cup because someone else would have been holding that space for me. And so I think it's really important that we have somebody who is that objective sounding board. And that honestly, a coach is a couple things. They hold a container, a space. They can see the vision of what you want, what your goals are, and you already having achieved it. They're the person who believes in you fully and tells you the things you don't want to hear so that you can get there. That's truly what it is. We hold that space. We see you. We act as if you're already there. We see you as that higher version of yourself, and we kick you in the butt and tell you the things that you don't want to hear. And we shine lights on the things that are holding you back. And none of us can do that for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so important. And do you feel like having a business coach and a life coach, you would need both, or?
So that's an interesting question. I've had both. I currently have 7 coaches and mentors, and I strongly believe that the right coaches for you are the ones that are going to see you and hold you accountable to what it is that you want for yourself, and also support you when you need that coach in your corner. I am truly a support. It's uncomfortable. I know people don't believe this because I have 3 television shows and I speak all over the world, but I wrote a book about boundaries because it changed my life, and I wanted to change the life about others. It went bestseller in 32 countries in an hour. There's a reason for that. I didn't want to write it. My coach made me write it. I started speaking on stages to help other healthcare providers because I cared about that. No matter how uncomfortable I am being the face, it's more important who has that transformation and who takes that away. And that's why I'm on television too. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable every time because I prefer to be that support behind that helps you along the way, whether it's in business and giving you the strategy and the tactics, or whether it's in life, making sure that you have that human performance and that boundary set. It doesn't really matter what area of coaching, but you want to find the coach that's going to hold you to what you want. And it could be one person or it could be 7.
Yeah. So everyone's different, basically. Yeah. And now I know your daughter is an entrepreneur as well. Do you feel like that's because she watched you, and was she able to kind of help you along the way as well, or did you keep it separate?
So I will tell you, my daughter is my number 1 top achievement. Like, I think the best, most important, amazing accomplishment in my life is raising my daughter, because she didn't have a good life. She didn't have an easy life. Like, her father and I split up. It was a domestic violence issue. And so she had a really tough time coming to terms with relationship with her father. But I think that she learned work ethic and what was important to her along the way. And I think that when she saw me doing things and going after it, I always told her, it doesn't matter, because the world tells women that we should go for what we want, but not be too much. Mm-hmm. We don't want to be too assertive, because then we come off as aggressive, and we should be. I never told her that. I said, listen, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want. All you have to do is work for it. And so I think I blew through some of those barriers. And she is, I think, a better leader and a better mother than I am, because she saw all my mistakes. And I didn't hide it. And I think as mompreneurs, it's really important, and we talked about this, we are the models for our children. And if we hide our troubles from them, because I did that initially. In sports medicine and things, and I didn't want her to see that, because I was trying to protect her because of all the things she had in her personal life. And then when I just decided that, maybe because this is a hard life that she's been dealt, if we just go through it together, and I'm just brutally honest as well, and don't protect her from any of that maybe that might be the best path forward. And I honestly think that that's why she's the entrepreneur that she is. I'm super proud of her, and I'll be honest, she's a better mom than me. She's got 3 kids. And she's such an amazing mother, and all the things that I wish I would have been able to do for my children, she was able to do right off the get-go, because she understood boundaries, because she watched me struggle with boundaries and then come out on the other side.
Yeah, and I mean, if that's your greatest success, first of all, it's perfect. And second of all, what would you say is your biggest struggle as an entrepreneur?
My biggest struggle is that I am super passionate about what I do. I only invest in businesses, buy businesses, start businesses, and things that I'm passionate about. And when I'm passionate about something, like, it's fun for me, and it's a game, and like coaching. I will coach until the day I die, because I love it. It's fun, it's people, it's empowering. But I lose sight of what's important in self-care. So I guess I'm a workaholic, if you call it that, because it doesn't feel like work. Mm-hmm. Some things do, obviously. But the biggest struggle is making sure I eat. I schedule my breakfast, my lunch, my workout, my date night with my husband, my babysit time with my grandbabies months in advance, so it's on my calendar, because if I don't schedule it, it ain't happening. Because when I get into what I'm doing, whether it's my AI companies or my coaching and consulting or anything in between, I am thick of it, in it, passionate about it, and I'm an AAAAA personality type. And a high achiever. And so I'm going to go do it. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure it's successful. And it's hard to roll that back and take that in. And the other struggle I have, and this is one that maybe some women might or might not identify with, is I have a very masculine energy. And so that doesn't work. I haven't, in the marriage, you have to step into the feminine. And so it's always a struggle for me to kind of pull that back and allow the female, like the feminine energy to come out.
And was that the same when you were doing PT as well, or do you feel like it's intensified with entrepreneurship?
Oh, no, girl. It's been like that my whole life. I mean, I played soccer. I was competitive in soccer. I was like that in sports medicine. I was going to be the best of, and it was hard because in sports med, there were not a lot of women when I was doing things. And so I had to fight harder than everybody else just to get in the door. So I think that it's just a part of my genetic makeup.
Fair. Does it feel like it's getting better though over time, and you're able to manage it more?
What I have learned is that the most important thing and the most challenging thing for someone who is a female who has been in male-dominated fields is asking for support and accepting support. And so has it gotten easier? It's gotten less uncomfortable. I think that's the way I would take it. It's never comfortable to ask for help when you need it. It's never comfortable to be vulnerable for me. It's very uncomfortable for me to even do this and talk about myself. But the reality is sometimes our message is more important than any discomfort that we have. And when that's the case, we need to just push through it and do it, because that, I honestly believe, by getting on the stages and writing the books and doing the uncomfortable things, that's what's helped me be successful and helped me impact so many more lives.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. I know it wasn't your favorite thing, but it's Mompreneurs, the real and the raw. We are going to take a brief break, but when we come back, we're talking about me. Have a wonderful break. We'll see you in a few minutes.